What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fierce, Favored, and Spiritually Grounded. I'm your life coach and host, Tanya Williams. In this episode, we're going to talk about isolation and just seasons of being alone and isolated that can actually bring a lot of spiritual growth. I've been through so many long seasons of just being alone and completely isolated. And I've experienced those seasons both negatively and positively based on, the posture of my heart during that time. I noticed some patterns in those seasons that others who have gone through similar time could identify with. You'll go through several different stages. It's like an emotional roller coaster. You'll go through bitterness, sadness, depression. You'll even have a little self-pity and despair. Sometimes you might even give in to sin temporarily just to satisfy the desire instead of waiting on God to answer or meet whatever the need is that you're asking him for. Sometimes you can just really feel empty and you shut down to others, or you're more self-focused and turning inward. I could really go on and on because that is really the negative aspect of it. And how many of us know that we can always find a lot more negativity in something than we can positive. But these times can be very painful and full of brokenness depending on, what you're going through. But they can also be full of joy and just intimacy with God. They don't have to be like what I described before, but I found some of my greatest times of growth and development spiritually as a person were these times when God just stripped everything else in my life away. I mean, literally, it was just me and him. That season is probably where not only with a purpose, but when I turned to him during those times are some of the things that he used for in my life. And those were the moments of probably the biggest growth I'd ever had. And, sometimes when you're broken down and stripped of negative things, that's when God just really can get your attention. So some of the things that I experienced during that time was definitely authentic worship with God, and just being in his presence and just positioning of God at first and the greatest love in my heart and life. And it made me seek, listen, and pray more. The shedding part had me to give up and remove things that needed to go. But you have a really deep joy that's more than a feeling. And the more time I spent with God, I felt more healed, and all the brokenness inside of me had disappeared. So, God is molding you during that time. One of the most important things you can do during those times is to just look at God and keep your eyes fixed on him. Now, I've used this reference a lot of times. I've referenced the racehorse and how they put the blinders over their eyes so they can't look to the right or to the left. So that's kind of like the moment that you're in during that time. You kind of have blinders on. And, if you just keep your eyes fixed on him, you're going to feel like isolation, like you're in the desert for the 40 days, like he was. But, he was alone with completely removed everything, and he can give you this strength to persevere through it. So don't feel like it's not something that you can do. A lot of times he has to break us before he blesses us. So that's a very important thing to remember, that when we're going higher in our spiritual realm to another level, we have to shed some things that we can't take with us. So it isn't the easiest thing, to choose to run to God sometimes for whatever reason. But if you do, no matter how you feel, and keep running to him, he'll meet you right there where you are. So he's always present, but we have to seek him daily. I can't really tell you how to experience it for yourself, but I can just give you, ways that I have done it and the experiences that I have. That's where you'll find your heart longing for him. It's in him. So, it's easy to feel sorry for yourself during this time, or feel sad because you're in this position, because you are alone. And we're human. We're social creatures, and we're used to being with people. But don't allow that to stop you. I encourage you to keep pressing forward and pressing forward the mark, and allow him to just strip you down in those areas again. It's not going to be fun. It's going to hurt. It's going to be very uncomfortable. But if we're not being stretched, we're not growing, and we're going to stay stagnant if we don't allow him to really work on us in the areas that we need to. We'll come out of it, more whole, as a person with our identity based in Him, and we'll see ourselves as He does. And it's hard, but you're not truly alone, because it doesn't last forever, even though it seems like it will. That's the whole point of just bringing yourself closer to Him, that we could praise God for those times, because they will shape you into who you are going to be, and God can use them in a mighty way in your heart and how to help people. So I want to encourage you again, if you're in one of these seasons, if you've been in one of these seasons, or you just feel that you're not hearing from God and things are quiet, you're starting to lose people in your life, friends, and you just feel isolated, then this is a great time to really just have a one-on-one conversation with God and see what He's doing in this season, and just be open to the process. I say this all the time, trust the process. Trust the process, because you're going to come out so much better on the other side. It's just like exercise. If it doesn't hurt, it's not working. So just trust the process and know that His ways are always bigger and better than ours, and that He would never do anything to hurt us, or anything like that. So you can trust God. You really can trust Him. So, I always got to give you this little bit of Bible before I go. So I'm going to read to you 1 Timothy 4:12. Be an example to the believers in the word, in conduct, in love, in spirit, in faith, and in purity. So basically, God is never going to let us go, because He has said in Isaiah 41:3, "For I am the Lord, the God who takes hold of your right hand and says to you, do not fear, I will help you." So we have to always just know that He's there to help us, that He's not going to do anything to hurt us or anything like that. So we have to really get out of our own heads and allow Him to take the lead and lead us. So this concludes this episode of being isolated and getting closer to God. So as always, thank you guys so much for just listening. And if you have any podcasts that you would like me to do or hear, always feel free to email me at tanyawilliams01@gmail.com. And don't forget to check out my new book on Amazon. It's called The Best Version of Me. You can either search by the name, or you can search by my name, Tanya Williams. And as always, until next time.